So Star Wars Episode 7 is going to be coming out in about 2 weeks. I wanted to make a video because there's been a lot of speculation about what's going on because J.J. Abrams and company really haven't given us a lot of information to go on. There's a lot of hype, there's a lot of excitement, and people are curious as to why Luke Skywalker has not been shown at all in any of the promotional materials relating to Episode 7. As such, there's been a lot of speculation about his character, and there's been a lot of speculation about Luke Skywalker actually having fallen to the dark side. And this video is really kind of in response to Matpat's film theory about can Luke Skywalker be evil? And as you probably noticed in the title to this video, I am going to say why he won't be evil, and if he is at least evil, he will not be Kylo Ren, as many people are saying that he is going to be. So first and foremost, Matpat uses the argument that there's already been a story within the expanded universe in which a reborn emperor persuades, manipulates, whatever, Luke Skywalker to the dark side. Now, Matpat does point out that the EU is no longer considered canon, but he uses it as a reason, hey, they've done this before, so why can't it happen again? Especially since all the EU is now non-canon. Lucasfilm can go and do whatever they want. While I do agree with Matpat on this, still, it doesn't mean that they're going to go ahead and go through with that because the EU is non-canon. And really making a basis upon anything in the EU is not actually the best choice to make. It's justifiable and understandable, and we've already done that with other things as well because that's the only way that we can try to piece together what Episode 7 is, but ever since Disney basically just pulled a middle finger on everyone who's worked on the EU and said, nope, we want more money. We want to make more movies. So all of that, it don't count no more. Everything that we once knew to be for certain is now up in the air. And if we really wanted to use the EU, we could still make arguments for why Luke would not fall to the dark side based upon things that we have seen in the EU. Now that really just gets into speculation and a lot of it gets iffy, so maybe I'll make another video just kind of speculating on that. But for all intents and purposes, I'm going to discount Matpat's EU argument. Not saying it doesn't have a point. I perfectly understand what he's trying to do, but you just can't use anything in the EU right now because Disney's just taking a big steaming crap on all of it. They don't care. They're just in the business of making money. Which brings up my second point. Why would you do something that's already been done? Granted, George Lucas wanted the prequels and the originals to mirror each other, as Matpat says, but this is a new group in charge. George Lucas no longer has power over anything pertaining to Star Wars. So they can choose to go with George Lucas's, hey, it's poetry, it's mirroring each other. But then again, he never intended to make 3 more episodes. He did ultimately until he realized, well, Star Wars is actually about Anakin's story, and Anakin's story concludes in episode 6, so I'm not going to make 3 more episodes, so we're good. So Disney is going into brand new territory, and I'm fairly certain Disney knows quite a few big chunks of the EU, and obviously they're going to glean from that. You would be an idiot not to glean from that. But why would you do something that has so obviously been done before? Which brings me up to my next point. It's too obvious. Now granted, I understand J.J. Abrams, he did this sort of thing with Descent into Darkness for Star Trek. Almost said Star Wars there. Oh dear, don't commit the cardinal sin. You know, he tried to throw everyone off the path of Cumberbatch being Khan, and pretty much everyone knew that Cumberbatch was going to be Khan, and it wasn't that successful. So they've kind of gone no-show with Luke Skywalker. Granted, he had a voiceover in one of the teasers, but that's been it for Luke Skywalker. We don't really know much anything else except that Luke said that there's something pertaining to his character that entirely changes everything that we understand about Luke or in the movie or something of that nature, and that he would lose a lot of money if he said what it was. Now, of course, this can just be hype, which I personally believe that it is. I mean, think about how many people are talking about the movie because where's Luke Skywalker? Where is Luke Skywalker? You know, where could he be? Oh, wait, he's actually already on the poster. He's Kylo Ren. You know, it's getting people talking. It's an insanely ingenious marketing trick. And I believe it's too obvious of a choice to just be like, oh yeah, Luke, he's evil, you know. I think J.J. Abrams probably learned from some of his mistakes with Star Trek, and he's just making it a great big mystery, which is something that he really, really likes in his style of filming. And I find it a bit hard to believe that if Luke Skywalker was evil, it'd be this easy to figure out. Because very early on, from the beginning of the teaser trailers, before we really even started noticing Luke's absence, granted he wasn't in the first teaser trailer, but like, Luke, he sounds evil in that voiceover. And also, that's another thing, too. It's not like now, you know, for a long time, Mark Hamill was best known for being Luke Skywalker. Mark Hamill now is debatably best known for his work for the voiceover for the Joker. Okay? So it also seems a bit too obvious in that regard. It's like the dude does voice work for Joker, and you're going to make him evil, or you're going to make him sound evil. You know, that's a bit too obvious. Everything just seems a bit too obvious and a bit too convenient. And that for me is really kind of the biggest turnoff. It's too easy. It's like, well, duh, he's evil because this, that, and the other thing. It's just too easy. And maybe I'm just being the blind fool and not wanting to accept what is absolutely obvious. But something about it just doesn't smack right. Because if you go back and you look at the films like Matpat does, I agree with all the things that he's saying. I see where he's coming from, but I have a different interpretation. Like when he confronts himself at Dagobah, you know, obviously they are foreshadowing his confrontation with Vader, the fact that Darth Vader is his father, but most importantly, they're talking about his confrontation with his darker self. Now, Matpat uses this as a, hey, you know, you have the possibility of becoming Darth Vader, which definitely is, but that's the whole thing with Luke, is that we are transported through the original trilogy with Luke into this battle of light and darkness. And that is really exemplified in Luke and most exemplified in Return of the Jedi. I'll agree, Luke is awfully dark in the beginning. He acts more like a Sith than per se a Jedi would. But yet you still know that he is good, however. And the brilliant cinematography in the final confrontation between Luke and Vader, it really exemplifies that inner battle that he's going through, the fact that he can so easily fall to the dark side. But that's what I really feel is the opposite. You know, supposedly these are supposed to mirror each other, but that's the opposite between the prequels, or perhaps I should say Anakin's story and Luke's story, is that this is Luke's defining moment. Now, granted, in the EU, he still falls to the dark side eventually, but none of that matters now. So this is the defining moment for Luke in his battle between the light and the dark side, and he is straddling that fine line when he's hiding there in the shadows, and you see half of his face illuminated in the light, and half of his face, there's this blue light on him, but it's dark, and it's supposed to represent the dark side. Just fantastic, great cinematography there. This is his battle, and he gives in to the dark side until he realizes, I am becoming like my father. And Matpat uses the line, no, I'm a Jedi like my father before me. You know, he's like, well, this is exactly, you know, your father isn't exactly the best role model to compare yourself to, which I will agree. But what he is saying, what I believe Luke is saying in that moment is that, no, I am a Jedi like my father before me, like my father was at one point. I know this whole time, throughout this whole movie, I know there's still good in him. I am going to be a Jedi like my father was a Jedi when he embrace that good side of him, because I know it was there. You took the evil dark part of him and twisted him and corrupted him and made him a slave to the darkness. You know, he is taking a moral stand. I really have to disagree with Matpat there. He is taking a moral stand. not only for himself, but for his father, because at this point, Darth Vader still hasn't become good. He still serves the Empire. We still haven't had that defining him looking between Luke and the Emperor while Luke's being electrocuted moment where he's feeling like, no, I can't let this happen. It may not even so much be for Luke, although I think it's for equal parts for Luke and for Darth Vader, for him to hear as well. It's like, no, I'm choosing to hold on to the light. My father had this same choice, and he was a good guy once upon a time, but he chose the dark. Well, I'm choosing the light. Those are pretty much the things that Matpat said, and I just have a few more points to make, because granted I said that there is a possibility Luke could be evil or evil-ish, but he's definitely not Kylo Ren. So let's take a look at what Mark Hamill said about, hey, this totally changes our understanding of Luke, is that Luke doesn't necessarily have to be evil. I mean, think of it this way, and this is kind of the way that I'm going, because I went through the comments, because obviously a lot of people don't feel this way. They feel the same way I do. They don't feel that Luke's evil. I went through the comments through the video for Matpat's theory, and a lot of people are like, I don't really know if Luke is evil. This is kind of how I feel about things. And look at the correlation between Anakin and Luke. And the fact of the matter is, Anakin was, even though unconventional, a traditionally trained Jedi, Luke was not. He was trained by two old guys as an adult, which is something that never happens. I mean, there have been cases in the EU, but that doesn't count. So Luke's the only case so far, for certain, of an adult being trained as a Jedi, and it was very unconventional, and Luke has always had a much bigger tie to his feelings and his passions than Anakin ever had. And one thing, granted, this is within the EU, but you still get a sense of it in the movies and in the TV series, is that people kind of feel that there's something wrong at its very core with the Jedi code. And that was something that was actually really keenly picked upon in the EU, is that, hey, this is a new Jedi Order, we do things differently. You know, we can marry, we can love, we can have passion. You know, we just don't have to fall to the dark side. There's a difference between having passion and letting those passions rule you. And that's how I view with Luke, is that it's one of those things where he's torn. He's not a pure old Republic light side Jedi. That doesn't mean that he's a Sith either, though. There can be a combination. The whole thing, the prophecy, bringing balance to the Force, the equal combination of light and dark. You know, if you don't really understand that sort of thing, just do a little bit of research into Eastern mysticism, and you'll know. They don't necessarily view light and dark as bad things. It's the yin and the yang, as it were. A little bit of each makes a complete whole. And that obviously has influenced Star Wars. So wouldn't it theoretically be shocking enough if Luke isn't a Jedi? Maybe he doesn't even identify with the Jedi. Maybe there is a new Jedi Order, but something happened and he distance himself from it. He has become, as what has been alluded to in the EU, granted, again, I know I'm using the EU, but he has become a gray Jedi, as it were, a Jedi who is no longer affiliated with the Jedi Order, a Jedi who takes controversial views upon the relationship of the Force, but they're actually more human than most Jedi. This seems to fit in with Luke's character more. He's kind of a mysterious figure that no one seems to know where he's at. That figures into the character of Luke as we know him more within this new established canon frame of nonsense. Yeah. Sorry. Still, might be a Star Wars fan. I'm still not happy what Disney did. And it doesn't mean that he doesn't have some connection of sorts with Kylo Ren, in that there's been lots of speculation that Kylo Ren is actually like Jason Solo or some equivalent of that. He's the son of Han and Leia. Now, I don't want to get into speculation in that, but let's just say they're related. That would make Luke his uncle. And Kylo Ren is, forgive me, you know, I call myself a Star Wars fan, so I should know this, but Kylo Ren is just one of many Rens. There's like the Ren, I know they're not called like the Renites or the Knights of Ren. I think that's what they're called. You know, Kylo Ren is just one of the Knights of Ren, and you've seen multiple people with pretty much the exact same getup as Kylo Ren. And another thing is, we have seen Kylo Ren, or I should say, we've seen behind Kylo Ren, Adam Driver without his mask on, and yeah, that doesn't look like Luke. That looks like Adam Driver. So I really doubt that Luke is Kylo Ren. But that doesn't mean that actually, in fact, Luke founded the Knights of Ren. What makes us believe that Kylo Ren is the leader or the founder? He's awfully young. Perhaps Luke founded the Knights of Ren as a way of something different from the Jedi Order, and either he got corrupted by the dark side somehow, or perhaps they became corrupted by the dark side, and they just like, oh yeah, we're serving the new order, the First Order Empire. You know, we're the new Sith, and Luke's like, oh my gosh, what have I done? And put himself in hiding. There's just so many moving parts. I don't feel that we can accurately hope to predict what it's going to be, and I really kind of hope that that's the case. I just want to. I really want to look forward to it. And of course, I want to be right. I don't want Luke to be evil. I don't mind him having touchings, flirtings with evil. It's what makes him human. It's what makes him an enduring character. I just feel that there's so many moving parts that we can't so confidently, as so many people have said, and that's why it really bothers me. It's like, oh yeah, Luke's evil. Foregone conclusion. We already know, man. We already know he's evil. He's evil, dude. Listen to his. He does Joker's voice. He's evil. No, it's not that simple. Anyways, those are just my thoughts on the subject. Hope you liked it. Do you have your own theory pertaining to Luke? Go ahead, comment below. Let me know. Do you already have tickets? I know I do. I got them when they first popped up online. I'm like, gotta go see this. I'm going to go see it on opening day. I am so excited. I can't wait. I plan on doing a video for opening day if I can find my camera. Sorry for the poor quality. I whipped out my old webcam because for whatever reason I have not been able to find my camera. So I really hope I can do that. Otherwise, that's $200 that went down the drain. Woo. So anyways, hope you guys are all having a great day. Sorry it's been a while since I last uploaded a video. I'm going to make a point of doing more videos, even if it's with this crappy webcam. Gotta keep working, gotta keep moving, and I can't wait for Star Wars! So, this is the OutcastWriter, and remember, what we create matters.